Part 42. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 411. I and Steppenwolf ancestor are at odds with each other. This sentence was shouted extremely loudly. Everyone on the 30th floor heard it. Dracula was eating melon seeds when the melon seed slipped from his hand. He never expected it. Cain, this old immortal, was able to bark wildly in front of the two armies. The dignified and taboo prince of the vampire clan, if he shouts like this, he will probably lose his face. Cain also had something to say. What kind of enemies did he fight before? They are from the lower three tribes, they are strong men of the same level, and they are novices pecking each other. Now follow Steppenwolf to fight Shura. Can he fight? Can't fight? Don't have this strength. From another perspective, the Wasteland Elf envoys and Steppenwolves were the first ones to choose Shura. Thank God, thank God. Dracula clasped his hands together and waved. Cain's behavior was equivalent to conquering the city first. Dracula needs to make a statement to win back the victory. Unknowingly, two powerful vampires were facing each other in the air. Standing up from the pony, Dracula stretched his arms, and a dark red cloak unfolded behind him. Countless bats flew out of the shadows and danced around a long river of blood in the sky. In the long river of blood, the figure of a god was looming, and the voice seemed to be coming from the distant kingdom of God, ethereal. Who dares to offend the gods? The aura of Poseidon appears on the 30th floor. The Wasteland Elf envoy and the Steppenwolf instantly fell into an extremely passive situation, and were attacked from both sides. In the front is Cain, and in the back are Poseidon's favored ones. They even summoned entities like Poseidon's projection or puppets. It can be said that there is a wolf in front and a tiger in the back. Who will not surrender? After getting over the initial shock, the Wasteland Elf quickly calmed down. She and Steppenwolf are both strong men who have been famous for many years. Not only is he very capable, he is also very experienced in terms of experience. The Wasteland Elf envoy could tell at a glance that the vampire behind was menacing. But in terms of strength, very weak. He has just reached the threshold of the prince, and even the Poseidon puppet he controls is not that strong. Moreover, the more the Wasteland Elf looked at him, the more familiar he felt. I'll kill the one in the back, and you take care of Cain. The Wasteland Elf made a prompt decision and split up. Cain can block her most powerful killing move, so it is most suitable for Steppenwolf to deal with him. As for the vampire prince at the back, he can only shoot 2 arrows at most. After solving it, it's not too late for both sides to work together to break through head-on. The two figures separated, and the battlefield was immediately divided. Looking at the Steppenwolf rushing towards him, Yebai was not afraid of danger and did not retreat even half a step. Steppenwolf's virtual spirit, LV989, in the virtual spirit state, has 1% of its original attributes. The real Steppenwolf has level 994 terrifying strength. What Yebai saw in front of him seemed to be showing his teeth and claws, which was very scary. In fact, it is a weakened version of the Void Spirit, and its real combat power is only that of a 9th level god of war. The enemy's combat strength is approximately equal to 1.01 Su Ching Feng. In the Eternal Tower, it is the most suitable place for Yebai to practice. Bearing the sky, you can use it. All things are alive and can be used. Probability of survival in this battle, 100%. After making sure everything was safe, Yebai felt a little more relieved. Cain, back off. Yebai calmly ordered. Let me challenge him. Cain didn't feel any displeasure. While he stepped aside, his hands were not idle either. He frantically threw various debuffs outwards and hit Steppenwolf ethereal. The rebellious son of Cain asked in a low voice. Father, didn't you say a duel? Cain gave Nazai a cold look, not bothering to explain anything. Do you want Cain to say, "My father is Shura's summons"? Is it reasonable to help Shura fight against the Steppenwolf void spirit alone? Cain couldn't say such words. But after staying with the demon lord for a long time, Cain also figured out some tricks. In terms of being shameless, the demon lord really has no shame at all. Singled out? Non-existent. Yabai was very satisfied with Cain's approach. After being continuously weakened by Cain, the Steppenwolf who rushed in front of Yebai's combat power dropped sharply. Current enemy combat strength, 0.99 Su Ching Feng. Just when Steppenwolf was about to rush in front of Yebai, Yebai pulled out the power of nature from his sleeves. Thunder. The 30th floor was ready to go, and a thunder struck down. When fighting landlords, throw the king bomb at the beginning. Rumble. Terrifying black and red thunder and lightning tore through the sky and hit Steppenwolf hard. Steppenwolf's left ear was broken and his body was charred, but he didn't die suddenly. It withstood this blow. As the second strongest wolf ancestor in history, it is normal to have some trump cards. If a thunderbolt killed the opponent, how shameless would Su Chingfeng be? Almost at the same time, Steppenwolf and Yebai made the same move. Desolate Sea. Azure Sea. Boom. The Black Ocean and the Golden Ocean collide. Shurahai not only did not suffer a loss, but even briefly gained the upper hand. Steppenwolf was startled again. How can this be? The opponent is over 300 levels, why is the level of Eternal Sea the same as mine, or even higher? Before Steppenwolf could think about it, a sword light grazed his neck. Reach for the stars. Wind's infinite distance. Stop the water flow. Shadow in the mirror kill. Using 3 moves at the same time, Yebai left several holes in Steppenwolf's body. Throw out all the king bombs in your hand, kill the opponent, and you will win. Steppenwolf's attacks were all blocked by the ice barrier. 1 round is not enough, Yebai still has a second round for all things to grow. If the explosion doesn't kill you, then call the crowd for a beating. See obtuse angle. A. Calculate the exploration degree and escape, the survival rate is 100%. Ice barrier. The terrifying thunder appears again, and this time the Steppenwolf void spirit is not so lucky. I became a mage again. Level 994 presence detected Steppenwolf. Shura won a great victory. At the moment when the phantom of the Steppenwolf disappeared, a series of ground sounds came from Burial Wolf Valley. Summon off-site assistance, survival rate 99.98%. The Sky Thunder destroys the opponent's life-saving means, cuts off the water flow and prohibits treatment, and ends with Chaos Thunder in all things. He just got close, in order to cut off the water flow with the sword, so that Steppenwolf could not recover his health. Chaos Thunder Annihilation. Fortunately, Steppenwolf Void Spirit is very powerful. Faced with multiple choice questions, Yebai has rich experience in blind guessing. Yebai knew very well that there was an insurmountable gap in real strength between him and Steppenwolf Void Spirit. Steppenwolf struck down with his backhand claw, but was blocked by a light blue barrier. After finishing reaching for the stars, Yebai picked up the power of nature again. It seems that a terrifying monster is about to appear. Forbidden treatment, breaking defense, real damage. Yebai had calculated everything from the very beginning of this battle. A blast of chaos thunder killed it. I choose C, obtuse angle. Yebai said confidently. Looking at the multiple choice question in front of him, Yebai nodded slowly. Choose the shortest among the 3 long and 1 short. When in doubt, choose C. All things are born. Be those who kill you, the survival rate is 99.99%. He knows this question. If you want to defeat the opponent, you must do your best. Yebai didn't give the other party a chance to continue attacking him, so he ended his star hunting and returned to where he was. Shura played against 0.99 Su Chingfeng. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 412. Choose C, obtuse angle. Yabai successfully avoided all the correct answers and chose the only wrong answer. When the sounds of the ground continued to sound, the situation of the battle also changed. Several sharp arrows penetrated the river of Dracula's blood, and the wasteland elf rushed out of the bondage. Over the wolf burial valley, the howl of the Steppenwolf could be heard. I was supposed to enter the eternal temple, but I hid here for many years as punishment. I must withstand the full blow of the current wolf ancestor after my true body appears. 10 seconds, the battle will end. Within 10 seconds I will enter the eternal temple and my life will be safe. Steppenwolf explained his current predicament to the wasteland elf. The wasteland elf didn't talk nonsense. With her face pale, she bent her bow and shot arrows again, hoping to get some results. But, not surprisingly, these arrows were all blocked by Cain. The wasteland elf envoy has other methods, but she knows very well that the battle situation no longer belongs to her. After all, she was only level 989. Apart from the longbow in her hand, she could give Su Qingfeng a close fight. With such strength, facing the combination of Cain, Dracula, and the swordsman in white, there is no chance of winning. Yabai shouted in a low voice. Do you understand everything? Cain and Dracula nodded simultaneously. Cain suddenly learned werewolf language, from beginner to proficient. A black whirlwind rushed out of the wolf burial valley and headed straight for the three of them. Roar! Only 10 seconds. In an instant, the two sides started a battle, with Steppenwolf attacking and Yabai and others defending. If you survive these 10 seconds, you will win. Cain and the river of blood are blocked at the outermost layer. 10. The Steppenwolf in the black whirlwind rushed forward, tearing up the river of blood with its sharp claws. Cain failed to block the opponent's full blow, and the bloody figure slowly faded away. Even so, when he was about to die, a trace of viciousness flashed across Cain's face. Blood, weep for the king's fall. In an instant, the blood all over Steppenwolf's body boiled and evaporated, and his whole body was dyed red, like a blood wolf. After shaking his body a few times, it only took Steppenwolf 2 seconds to get rid of Cain's dying curse. At his peak, Cain was as powerful as Steppenwolf. Although he is no longer at his peak now, the curse launched by Cain at the cost of his life cannot be underestimated. 7 seconds left. Seeing the fall of Cain, Dracula even had a cry in his voice. Cain. The old loser actually plays the emotional card. They are strong men of the vampire race. For them, death is never the end, but a stop on the journey. In the same way, Cain did not really die. It took a while to be resurrected in Yabai's exclusive space. But Cain used himself as a shield and risked his life to save the demon lord who didn't need to be saved. How could Dracula win if he didn't even risk his life? In the end, someone will definitely be killed. Cherish life and stay away from involution. Cain is dead by his own choice. Dracula gritted his teeth, knowing that he had no way out. The long river of blood behind him shrank into a spherical shape, and the Poseidon puppet appeared in front of the long river of blood and swallowed it in one gulp. In an instant, the Poseidon puppet was glowing with a strange red light, sea water appeared around him, and the sound of waves continued. This is no longer a river of blood, but a sea of blood. In order to win over Cain, Dracula made a decision that went against the blood ancestor and transformed the river of blood without authorization. Of course, this is just a prototype. The newly born blood sea is particularly unstable, and the surging power may lose control and explode at any time. Dracula, what he wants is this moment of explosion. Boom. The out-of-control sea of blood, along with the Poseidon puppet, collided head-on with Steppenwolf. Even the Steppenwolf in its heyday was a little overwhelmed when faced with the powerful vampires fighting for their lives one after another. Damn it, are these stinky bats dying? Steppenwolf struggled in the sea of blood, roaring angrily. It doesn't understand. Among the lower three clans, the vampire clan who is most greedy for life and afraid of death, why is he so brave today? Could it be that? Looking at the swordsman in white in front of him, a hint of haze flashed deep in Steppenwolf's eyes. Could it be that this mage is the blood ancestor? It seems that this is the only reason to make Cain and Dracula risk their lives at the same time. 2 seconds have passed since Steppenwolf struggled out of the sea of blood. 5 seconds left. The corners of Dracula's mouth were slightly raised, showing a victorious smile. His mission accomplished. The Demon Lord has a move that he can use to borrow 5 more seconds from the sky. When the current wolf ancestor takes action, Steppenwolf will definitely die. Dracula, who was extremely weak, never expected that Steppenwolf didn't even look at him and rushed directly towards Yabai. Damn it, you're going to kill me before you leave. Fuse the river of blood with the Poseidon puppet, and then self-destruct. At this time, Dracula was extremely weak, so weak that Xiaolin could stab him to death if he came up and stabbed him. As a result, Steppenwolf left him alone. Dracula is in a hurry. He felt cruel, first he felt angry, and then shouted in an extremely sad and angry tone. Steppenwolf, you are so despicable, you attacked me secretly. I will never die. Before he finished speaking, Dracula died. Probably really dead. Steppenwolf looked back. The wolf was dumbfounded. He didn't kill Dracula, so why was Dracula still dead? In any case, Dracula used his own death to buy Yabai another second. 4 seconds left. The effect time of tension is 5 seconds. Yabai did not sit still and wait for death, but held up the Shurasi and faced the enemy head-on. 4. The Steppenwolf is overwhelming in the Shurasi, and the Golden Sea is defeated one after another. 3. Yabai drew his sword to face the enemy, and all the ice barriers on his body were broken in the first moment. Except for the guardian angel, immortality, salvation, etc., Yabai has no other means to save his life. The Steppenwolf clawed his way straight to Yabai's heart. 2. At the last moment, Yabai slashed out with his backhand sword, turning the sky. After all, he was forced into a desperate situation. Even so, the achievements of Yabai and others are enough to be proud of. Cain, Dracula, and Yabai blocked the level 994 Steppenwolf for 10 seconds. 1. Last second. Steppenwolf, who had previously fallen into madness, stopped and stared in the direction of Wolf Burial Valley. A gap opened in the sky above Burial Wolf Valley, and a powerful aura rushed out like mercury pouring down the ground. The current wolf ancestor is here. The Steppenwolf looked like he was facing a formidable enemy, with his hair standing on end, and a low and threatening growl kept coming from his throat. This is the instinctive reaction of a beast being cornered. The current wolf ancestor brought him a sense of oppression that was too terrifying. Under everyone's gaze, the shadow of a huge bloody hammer appeared in the sky above the Wolf Burial Valley. The sledgehammer came down at an extremely fast speed and accurately landed on Steppenwolf's head, easily smashing the opponent into a meat pie. As the sledgehammer fell, an emotional cry resounded throughout the world. 80. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 413. 30 Floors of the Eternal Tower. 80. One hammer down, the sky is clear and sunny. Everyone on the battlefield was shocked by this terrifying blow. The wasteland elf didn't even turn around and ran away, staring blankly at the place where Steppenwolf had been. Steppenwolf was smashed into a flat piece of meat, and he could no longer die. Steppenwolf, who killed Cain and Dracula successively, forced Ye Bai to resort to the power of Qian Tian, and was infinitely close to victory, is dead. Died by a mediocre sledgehammer. What's even more terrifying is that there is not even a crack in the ground under Steppenwolf's feet. He killed Steppenwolf with one hammer, but the power didn't leak out at all. It can be seen that the person who took action has terrifying strength and has mastered the power to the ultimate level. The current wolf ancestor is so powerful and terrifying that he must not be messed with. While everyone was stunned, Ye Bai also fell into silence. He never expected it. The current wolf ancestor turns out to be Xue Meng. This is a sheep in wolf's clothing. Ye Bai had previously put Ancestor Wolf first on the list of candidates for the sheepfold. Little did they know, the wolf ancestor had already sneaked into the sheepfold. As expected of you, De Menzi. Eternal Tower. 99 floors outside. Just when Ye Bai and others were shocked by the hammer, Xue Meng took back his sledgehammer and yawned. Xue Meng quickly realized that he was not in the wolf lair now, but outside the 99th floor, in front of the old Taoist family. He quickly tightened his expression, became extremely serious, and said respectfully to the tower, "Shura is still alive." Inside the tower, the Taoist's voice came out. "I'm looking." He knows. Everything that happens on the 30th floor is under the watchful eye of the Taoist. Xue Meng scratched his head, not knowing what to say further. "Do you want him to ask Xiaoao? Dear, do you need a son, a professional one?" Everyone who has been a foster father says yes. If everyone agrees, that's really good. Xue Meng couldn't say such a thing. Xue Meng never expected that he did not speak. The Taoist on the 99th floor took the initiative to speak. "Has everything been arranged?" Xue Meng nodded quickly. "It's all done as you said. 3 generations of the most powerful people in the human race, Xiaoao is now the leader. No strong person will violate his words, and they will be 100% implemented and implemented." Ye Bai didn't know. The moment he entered the 30th floor, an order was sent from the Wanwu Pavilion to Zhaoqian and spread to all high-level powerful people. The content of the command is very simple, only 2 words. Prepare for war. At this moment, all the strong men on the human front line have been mobilized and are ready. Even though a war had just started not long ago, many legions were still being repaired and were still pulled to the front line. No one had any complaints. The reason is simple. These 2 words were the first order issued by the strongest Xiaoao to the outside world after moving into the 99th floor. Of course, there used to be a certain Yingzhu who issued orders under the banner of the strongest Xiaoao. It's enough for everyone to know what's going on, and they won't really try to expose each other. This time, even Zhaoqian of Wanwu Pavilion didn't know what Xiaoao was going to do. In other words, except Zhuyu, no one can guess what Xiaoao is going to do. The reason why Xue Meng appeared here was because Xiaoao called him here. Xue Meng originally thought that he was here to serve as a messenger or something. Now it seems that he was wrong. He is an escort. The kind of free chat you can't get paid for. If the conversation doesn't go well, I'll turn into a horse. Xiaoao spoke again and explained. After clearing the 30th floor, Shura will have a chance to leave. Xue Meng? What the hell? Shura left, where to go? Where to go after level 1000? There were too many questions in Xue Meng's mind, and before he had time to ask them, Xiaoao spoke again. If Shura chooses to leave, I will open the abyss of power, rescue the teacher, and I will also send your father's body out. Listening to Xiaoao's words, Xue Meng remained silent and clenched his right fist tightly. Open the mighty abyss. Xiaoao said these words very easily. Only the strong humans understand the heaviness behind it. How many people have died because of the abyss of might, and how many people's bodies have been buried in foreign lands with nowhere to rest. Xiaoao continued. In my decisive battle with the most powerful demon god, everything beyond the 2nd, 5th, 9th, and 13th abyss must be destroyed. Clear. Xiaoao didn't say how to destroy it, but he simply said it. No one doubted that he could not do it. After saying that, Xiaoao fell silent again. Obviously, he was not going to speak anymore. All that needs to be said has been said. Xuemeng felt that he should say something. Well, excuse me, if Shura chooses to leave. Xuemeng scratched his ears and cheeks and hesitated. Xiaoao rarely took the initiative to speak. You want to ask, is Shura's life in danger? Xuemeng nodded repeatedly. Yes, yes, actually, this is quite awkward. Keep him by force, it doesn't feel right, it's not sweet to force him. Don't keep him, just leave like this, I always feel, quite disappointed. Xuemeng didn't say a word. He felt that Shura would not let him down. Shura will not leave. Faced with Xuemeng's question, Xiaoao replied. Shura will definitely die if he chooses to leave. Xuemeng smiled, that's okay. Based on his understanding of Shura, this kid will never leave. The old Taoist priest said that he must die without a doubt, but it is really that he must die without a doubt. Soon, Xiaoao's next words made Xuemeng's smile freeze on his face. Shura will definitely die if he stays. Xuemeng. This is a hammer. Isn't this Shura the great demon god holding a banquet, whether it's death or not? From Xiaoao's point of view, no matter whether he chooses to go or stay, Shura will definitely die. The white clouds are long and graceful, and there will be no sorrow for 100 years. Xuemeng's ears seemed to be ringing with his own father's words. Maybe, this is the fate of the strongest. Xuemeng lowered his eyes, clenched his teeth, and bright red blood oozed from his palms. Bullshit life. In the 30th floor. Ye Bai looked at the place where the sledgehammer disappeared, his expression a little solemn. Is Xuemeng at third brother's place? In the sudden glance, Ye Bai saw a familiar background. It was definitely the 99th floor, he couldn't be mistaken. Xuemeng went to chat with third brother? Ye Bai's heart sank. Is there something going on outside? Calm down. Ye Bai took a deep breath and calmed down. Third brother is here, don't panic. What Ye Bai has to do is to complete the 5's level in front of him and break the cycle. For other things, just trust third brother. Ye Bai looked at Cain's rebellious son and asked. What did the previous prophecy say? The pale vampire said quickly. Look northwest, the bright moon is in the sky. Today, the northwest look has come true. The sun has finished eating too. Where is the moon? Ye Bai turned back to look at the big and small white wolf kings. The shadow of the three-headed dog of hell and the shadow of the black tiger both had bellyfuls of food and returned to the nightmare wine to begin digesting their previous harvest. The silver wolf hair of the great white wolf king was plated with a layer of gold. Now, the Tengu eclipse has come true, and the entire land is shrouded in darkness. The great white wolf king felt that he had an impulse. He stood on a hillside, looking up to the sky and roaring. Ouch! The howl of the wolf is extremely penetrating and spreads throughout the entire land. Not only the big white wolf king, but also the little white wolf king beside him howled together. Ouch! The sound reached Wolf Burial Valley. More and more wolf spirits appear, and more wolves howl. This love has been hidden by the sword marks and has not been discovered by anyone. Ouch! Looking at the bright moon above my head. The nightmare that holds the complete mark of the strongest, relies on dreams come true to forcefully move out a sea. A silver white heart flew out of the white wolf king's chest. Ye Bai raised his head, looked at the bright moon, and murmured. The white wolf king remembered the last words that nightmare said to him. May there be a bright moon in your heart and your dreams come true. Boom. He once saw a sea on the 20th floor, the sea of life. So ugly. You can't make an artificial moon, right? I just talked about my dreams back then. I hope there will be a moon that can. This moon is not round, but an ugly heart. The moon doesn't want to go to work, who can force it to go to work? Raise your head and howl. The beating of the heart seems to be linked to the pulse of the entire world, integrated with the 30 layers. Doesn't this mean calling out the moon? Thinking of this, Yebai was suddenly stunned. A bright moon hangs in the sky. The great white wolf king was stunned. Why did he suddenly say this? It's still the same recipe, and it still has the same taste. Yebai asked anxiously. After the sword energy overflowed, it poured into the heavenly king's sword at Yebai's waist. The sword marks on his chest spilled out countless sword energy. Yebai raised his eyebrows slightly. An ugly love heart. As we all know, the sunrise is not caused by the rooster. The words of the great white wolf king came to an abrupt end. White dog king, what did you talk about when you first met the nightmare? A wolf spirit walked out of the wolf burial valley and stood at the top of the valley. This silver-white heart continues to grow as it rises upward. The scar on the great white wolf king's chest disappeared, revealing the original appearance under the scar. Just as more than 30,000 white wolf kings were howling at the same time, a white light lit up the sky. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 414. The 30th floor of the Eternal Tower. Looking at the ugly loving moon in the sky, Yebai thought about a question seriously. Do you want to find a way to pack it up and take it home? Forget it. Yebai cancelled the skill wherever he goes, he gathers wherever he goes. Some things, even if you don't take them away, are just a thought if you leave them where they are. The key is, Yebai couldn't take this moon away even if he wanted to. After the bright moon rises, the howling of the wolves gradually subsides. The aura of the great white wolf king has reached its peak, and he can break through to level 990 at any time. However, he had no idea whether he could get the approval of the wolf ancestor. Yebai waved his hand, and the resurrected Dracula returned to the 30th floor. Where's Steppenwolf? Dracula, resurrected with full blood, is in high spirits. Come and fight me for 300 rounds. Yebai rolled his eyes. You're dead, stop showing off. After speaking, Yebai ordered. Go and clean up Steppenwolf's body. Although he was killed by Schwemeng with a hammer. However, Steppenwolf was also a level 994 powerhouse during his lifetime. Can't waste it? Even if it was meat pie, Yebai had to find some waste from it and use it. Okay, that's very demon lord. Dracula goes to pick up the remains of Steppenwolf. Cain was soon resurrected and returned. He had a coffin face, cold and aloof. Glancing at Steppenwolf's body, Cain's eyes flashed with horror, which he hid well. Cain is very aware of Steppenwolf's strength. Both sides are in their prime, so Cain naturally despises Steppenwolf. The problem is that although Steppenwolf is not at its peak combat power, its combat power is still intact. In this case, he was instantly killed by the current wolf ancestor. Are the werewolves about to rise? Among the lower three tribes, the werewolf tribe was originally at the lowest end of the contempt chain, and the vampire tribe was vaguely half as strong as the elves. Now that a terrifying wolf ancestor suddenly appears, the strength ranking of the three clans may change. Compared with Dracula, Cain has a greater sense of blood honor. Looking at Steppenwolf's body, Cain snorted coldly. Death is the most lenient punishment for offending the king's dignity. The middle-aged man is sick. Yebai ignored Cain's harsh words and threw a ring casually. Cain quickly caught it with both hands, fearing that the ring would be damaged in any way. This ring was stolen from Cain by the Shadow Brother before. Ye Bai temporarily helped him keep it for a while. Look, the property is now back to its original owner. It makes sense, right? Go and capture the wasteland elf envoy. After successive battles, Ye Bai felt a little tired and wanted to speed up the progress. Live or die. Wan Tianqing has been used and cannot be used again within 24 hours. Without Wan Tianqing, Ye Bai felt insecure. At the same time, through the battle with Steppenwolf, Ye Bai had roughly understood his current strength. Better than 0.99 Su Qing Feng. As for whether he can beat Lao Su, it's hard to say. Before heading to the ninth abyss, Ye Bai would look for an opportunity to test it. This level has now reached its final stage. Cain took the ring back to the little finger of his right hand, with a sneer on his lips, and the bloody bat flew away into the wilderness under the moonlight. The screams of the wasteland elf could be vaguely heard. These are not things Ye Bai needs to consider for the time being. Calling the big and little white wolf king, Ye Bai shouted, "Let's go back to Henren town." After arriving in the town, when the prophecy left by Xiaoao is fully fulfilled and the 5's level is passed, it should not be far away. Eternal Tower. 99 floors outside. Xuemeng is accompanying Xiaoao. Calculating the time, Shura should be almost finished. According to what Wei Liadao said before. After Shura clears the 30th floor, he will have a chance to choose. Whether to go or stay is entirely up to Shura himself. Xiaoao suddenly spoke. "I'll make a bet with you." Today, he seems to have a lot to say. Xuemeng? He panicked. What does the strange old man want to bet with himself? Gambling dad? If Xiaoao wins, Xuemeng will be his adopted son. If Xuemeng wins, Xiaoao will be his adoptive father? Ahem, Xuemeng couldn't say such shameless words. He could only resist the impulse and ask tentatively. What bet? Xuemeng knew very well that he had no right to refuse. Even if the eldest father and the second father are here today, Xuemeng still wants to bet. Xiaoao said seriously. Bet, whether Shura will leave. Xuemeng's eyes lit up. Is there such a good thing? Xuemeng knows this question. Xuemeng had already figured it out. Who is Shura? Although Shura usually laughs and laughs, he is ruthless when it comes to plundering wool. When he goes to the battlefield, he can't wait to turn the enemy's ashes into dust. When Shura does things, he always takes precautions and makes sure that nothing goes wrong before taking decisive action. A successful attack can lead to 1,000 miles away. Even if Shura is asked to assassinate Su Qingfeng, Shura will probably have to wait for a few days to ensure that he can kill with full health before he dares to take action. Such a master asked him to put down everything and leave the protection of Xiaoao with just a few words from the other party? Dream. There are no doors. Besides, what is the relationship between Xuemeng and Shura? A hard-working shepherd would leave his sheepfold and follow others empty-handed? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Hearing Xiaoao's bet, Xuemeng was about to nod his head and agree to make a small sum of money from the strange old man. Just listen to Xiaoao on the 99th floor speaking calmly. I bet Shura won't leave. Xuemeng? This was the second time today that he was confused. How does this work? Xuemeng asked tentatively. Then, I bet that Shura won't leave. Xiaoao shook his head and explained. No, the meaning of betting is that both parties have to bet on different choices. This is what the teacher taught me. Xuemeng. What the hell did Uncle Nine teach you? Do you call this gambling? This is called robbing, you know. Who is so bold as to steal the adopted son of the strongest? Happy. That's okay. Xuemeng was about to cry. He could only bite the bullet and said with a sad face. Then I bet Shura will leave. Good. Xiaoao agreed. He nodded with some relief. The teacher really didn't lie to himself. If you bet with others in this way, your chances of winning will be much greater and you will basically not lose. Xuemeng tried to make a final struggle. Can the bet be smaller? Since it's a losing battle, it's okay to lose less, right? This is Xuemeng's last act of stubbornness. Okay. Xiaoao is easy to talk to and agrees to Xuemeng's proposal. What's a good bet? Xiaoao didn't think about it for a while. His original idea was to gamble, but there was no need for a stake. But since Xuemeng took the initiative to raise the bet, Xiaoao agreed. Then there has to be a stake. Xiaoao thought for a while and made a reasonable suggestion. How about betting 0.9% of your income? 90% of Xuemeng's income goes to Nightmare, 9% goes to Wuhan, and only 1% actually falls into his hands. If you take away 1%, it seems a little inappropriate. It only takes 0.9%, which is appropriate. And in Xiaoao's eyes, even if Xuemeng takes 100% of his income, it is still a small bet. 0.9%, it can't be any smaller. Xiaoao nodded slightly. This makes sense. Xuemeng. Otherwise, should I still recognize you as my father? Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 415. Eternal Tower, 30th floor. At this time, Ye Bai didn't know that the sheep in his sheepfold had been gathered clean. After returning to Ruthless Town, it didn't take long for Cain to return with the Wasteland Elf envoy. Although his appearance was not messy at all, Cain's face was extremely pale. Obviously, Cain had to pay a heavy price in order to subdue the Wasteland Elf. But for Cain, it was all worth it. The ring on his little finger is a very precious blood vessel. For people of other races, this is just an ordinary S-level equipment. In the hands of the vampires, this ring has terrifying power. Ye Bai looked at the kidnapped Wasteland Elf and nodded with satisfaction. Cain, an old boy, although still putting on airs, worked extremely hard. If something happens, he will come. That ring is returned to you. Ye Bai said seriously. I promised you the prince's essence and blood before, and I will have the pavilion of all things collected within one day. A look of surprise flashed across Cain's face. He didn't expect that the Demon Lord would be so generous. In Cain's budget, if the Demon Lord is willing to pay in installments, it would be an act of kindness. Dracula on the side sneered. Cain, you are still too young. What is the character of the Demon Lord that Dracula still doesn't understand? There is only one situation where the Demon Lord will be extra generous. This guy's life is in danger. Shura is probably going to the abyss again. In order to add some extra insurance for his journey into the abyss, the Demon Lord wished he could pile up his men with demon-level combat power. No matter how much you eat from the Demon Lord now, you will have to pay it back with interest when you risk your life on the battlefield. Cain was still young and did not know that every generosity of the Demon Lord had a price hidden behind it. However, there is one thing to say. In the battle on the 30th floor, Cain and Dracula performed impeccably. The two powerful vampires competed with each other and rushed to work for Ye Bai. The reward Ye Bai gave was naturally very generous. After talking about Cain, Ye Bai looked at Dracula. How can you compensate me for that long river of blood? Dracula. In order to delay Steppenwolf, Dracula disobeyed the blood ancestor and transformed the river of blood into a sea of blood. In this way, the river of blood ceases to exist and merges with the Poseidon puppet. At the same time, the Poseidon puppet self-destruct, and it would cost a lot of money to repair it. Whether it is the river of blood or the Poseidon puppet, they are all temporarily lent to Dracula. Forget it, I'm not a stingy person either. Ye Bai waved his hand and endured the heartache and said. I will advance the money for materials to repair the Poseidon puppet. The money will be credited to your account. Dracula breathed a sigh of relief and saluted quickly. Master, your generosity is like the rising Sunday. Now it is night. Yabai stopped Dracula's flattery with one sentence. For Dracula, accounting. It doesn't matter, just remember it. Anyway, he follows the demon lord. Is there any difference between owing 1 UN and owing 1 million God of War merit? No difference. If you want to repair the Poseidon puppet and Blood Sea core, the cost will be at least tens of thousands of War God merits. After all, Dracula made a lot of money this time. After calming down the two vampires who were working extremely hard, Yabai looked at the wasteland elf envoy. The other party stared at Yabai fiercely, gritted his teeth and asked, "Who are you, Wilhen?" The great white wolf king took the initiative and said, "Wilhen is his second brother." A trace of surprise flashed across the wasteland elf's face, and he murmured, "No wonder, this sword is in your hand." Sword. Yabai looked at the sword at his waist and felt a little strange. Why did the second brother get involved with the Heavenly King's sword again? Isn't this Shweju's sword? Yabai looked at the wasteland elf envoy and asked, "You might as well speak more clearly. Be more specific." The wasteland elf looked confused and felt inexplicable. "You are carrying a traceless sword, what else is there to say?" Etc. Yabai interrupted the other party, raised the Heavenly King's sword in his hand, and asked seriously, "You said this sword is traceless." Master Jew, this old liar, lied to himself again. Faced with such an idiotic question, the wasteland elf envoy was about to make a sarcastic comment. Cain next to him coughed slightly. "Think carefully before answering." Dracula rarely criticized Cain, but agreed. "If you say the wrong thing, the elf will die." Obviously, Shura's previous reward made the two powerful vampires feel that it was worth the money. They don't mind singing bad words for Shura and scaring the wasteland elves. The situation is stronger than that of the elves. The wasteland elves knew that the elves were under the eaves and had to bow their heads. The first time this sword appeared in front of us, it was called the Heavenly King's sword, and it was held by Wilhen. As for more, I really don't know. Yabai believed what the wasteland elf envoy said. There are far more secrets in the Heavenly King's sword than Yabai imagined. Originally named Renwang's sword, it was taken away by Nightmare and handed over to Shweju. The human king Shweju renamed the human king's sword the Heavenly King's sword. After Shweju died in the Supreme Abyss, he was sent out of the Supreme Abyss along with Yingju and Tianwang's sword. According to Yingju, after the Heavenly King's sword fell into the Eternal Forest, he wanted to follow Wilhen and leave, but was rejected. But the Wasteland Elf envoy said for sure that the Heavenly King's sword is the Wilhen sword. If it were Yabai in the past, he would have suspected that the Wasteland Elf was lying, but Master Jew would not lie to him. But Yabai has grown up. He has realized that Master Jew is a historical inventor. Regarding the Heavenly King's sword, Master Jew is 100% lying to himself. Go out and ask third brother. Yabai knew very well and asked his third brother when he was in trouble. The most urgent task is to clear the 30th floor first. So far, everything in Xiaoyao's prophecy has come true. When the dust settled, no one died in the ruthless town. The degree of exploration in front of Yabai's eyes also began to change. Exploration degree of the ruthless town camp, 100%. Exploration degree of wasteland camp, 100%. Elf camp exploration degree, 100%. Needless to say, there is no need to say much about the degree of exploration of Ruthless Town. The Wasteland camp is divided into two factions. One faction can help Steppenwolf to kill the White Wolf King, and let Steppenwolf come to Tengu to eat the sun, and finally reach 100% exploration. The other faction helps the White Wolf King and kills the Steppenwolf. As for the Elf camp, it is also divided into two factions. One faction is to help the Wasteland Elves. The other faction is to subdue the Wasteland Elves and take back the sun, moon, and arrows. Among the elves, the wasteland elves are out-and-out traders. Yabai looked at the 100% exploration rate of the three camps and nodded slightly. You get on the bus first and pay for the ticket later. Looking back at everyone, Yabai arranged it. You take the people back to my exclusive space first, and I'll deal with it later when I'm done. Kane raised his head, remained cold, and did not answer. Dracula nodded quickly and left with the elf envoy of the wasteland, the Great White Wolf King. As for the Little White Wolf King and the townspeople of Ruthless Town, they will stay on the 30th floor and continue to live in this world. Now that everything has been resolved, Fight, Feng Dong and other players also dispersed and continued exploring on the 30th floor. Yabai summoned the Eternal Core Crystal, took a deep breath, and felt a little nervous. He always felt that something unexpected might happen. Xuemeng's appearance outside the 99th floor is definitely not an accident. If everything is calm outside. Praise the old thief Minjiao by name. As far as the amount of updates is concerned, the old thief thinks it is still qualified. Yabai put his palm on the Eternal Core Crystal and started to clear the level. There is a blue sky like Xuemeng and Huo Tianyi. Settlement in progress. Once again, I would like to say thank you to all my friends who have supported me. Thank you very much. If nothing unexpected happens, this book will be completed in about 3 million words, and it will complete the climb of the 100-story tower and tell everyone's stories. No matter, third brother is still on the 99th floor anyway, nothing will go wrong. For the sake of ceremony, let's talk about it. There are 5 demons who are fearless in life and death. Focus on criticizing Xuemeng. After this chapter, the book has reached 1 million words. I always feel like I have something to say, but there seems to be nothing left to say. There are Lian Lian Gan Xiao Xiao Li Wuziki. That means that there is a problem here. After reviewing the past, look forward to the future. There is a nightmare, traceless Shura. In short, it's not that the old thief didn't work hard, but Xuemeng really didn't live up to expectations. I hope to continue our efforts, step by step, become bigger and stronger, and create greater glories. There is a mechanism to count the 2 demons. There are shadows of one family who love each other, 1 shadow, 2 shadows, 3 shadows and 7 shadows. There is the 9th level war god Su Qingfeng. This is a heartwarming, funny, and passionate story about a group of people fighting for hundreds of years to save the world. Let me tell you. There is Zhaolin Feng Dong Feet Xueqi. This is a cool article with all kinds of people. There is a big family that shares the adopted son, Xuemeng, 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 Xuemeng. As for the 13 chapters that Xuemeng owed everyone, the old thief thought of a way to make Xuemeng pay them back as soon as possible. I have a headache, War King Lu Qingjian. As of today, I have written a total of 120 days, 415 chapters, and 1 million words, with an average of 8,300 plus words updated daily, without interruption. Congratulations to player Shura for reaching the 30th level SSSSS level evaluation. In terms of performance, this book has performed very well, exceeding expectations. It would not be possible without everyone's support. Thank you all. Yu Yingjulan banished the immortal Zhao Qinhuo to the madman. Some smart friends have discovered that the framework of this book is 2-3 million words. There's Dracula Kane the Fool. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjiao Old Thief. Chapter 416. White light flashed. Yabai disappeared from the place. However, he did not return to the Eternal Core City, but came to a mysterious space. Before Yabai could clearly see the situation in front of him, a prompt popped up. Sleepy. The moment Yabai saw the prompt, he took out the eyewash material and dropped it directly. The current battery level is 15%, please charge it in time. Without hesitation, Ye-Bai took out the remaining material and used it again. Now he has used up all his power to win the sky. If even the eye of insight fails, Ye-Bai will be in an extremely unfavorable situation. Although I don't know what happened. However, be careful when sailing the ship of eternity. Current battery capacity, 30%, turn on battery life mode. 2 priceless materials were smashed down, and the eye of insight was not completely suppressed for the time being, but it was still partially disabled for the time being. Obviously, there is some secret hidden after clearing the 30th floor. This space can actually suppress SSS level talents. Although Danyan is scornful, he would only be so cowardly when facing a powerful person of the level of the most powerful person and the most powerful demon god. Thinking of this, Ye-Bai's mind became increasingly heavy. He didn't know what he was facing. But one thing, Ye-Bai was sure that his life would not be in danger. Since Master Ju appointed him to take over, he is still the most powerful seed. Third brother, you can take care of yourself, right? Just when Ye-Bai was thinking this, a disembodied voice sounded. The most powerful seed, the existence that bears the fate of death, you are here. Ye-Bai frowned and said unhappily. Is it shameful to pretend to be a god or a ghost? Haha, I'm not shameless. I'm not in this world. How can I see you? As he spoke, a door appeared in front of Ye-Bai in the void space. Cross this door and come to the world of the truly strong, abandoning the fate of death. Ye-Bai raised his eyebrows slightly, thought carefully, and asked. Then, how much are you going to give me? The strong man behind the void was stunned for a moment. Money. Aren't we talking about life? Who talked about money? Money is something external to the body. It has no effect outside this world. The unknown strong man patiently explained. When you come to the upper realm, you don't need money. Upper bound? Ye-Bai wrote down the name and asked his third brother about it when he had time. Ye-Bai ignored the other party's persuasion and followed his own pace. Who are you? Where is the upper world? How did the eternal tower come about? The unknown being answered truthfully. I am me, the upper world is behind the door, and the eternal tower is made by us. The maker of the eternal tower? Another little piece of knowledge. From the moment the other party appeared and persuaded Ye-Bai, Ye-Bai made up his mind that he would not go through this ghost door. Baffling. I pluck thousands of wolves from Xuemeng every minute on Blue Star, and I will go to the upper world with you to eat ashes. Ye-Bai continued to ask. Why did you build the eternal tower? Why is the most powerful mortal? While speaking, Ye-Bai took half a step back, farther away from the light door. The unknown existence was a little impatient. When you reach the upper world, you will know all the answers. Ye-Bai vowed and said. I won't go unless you tell me the answer. Of course, even if the other party told him, Ye-Bai would not go. The existence behind the light door also understands it very well. Come here first, and I'll tell you later. The two sides began to pull and enter an infinite loop. So much nonsense. When Ye-Bai was talking to the unknown being, a familiar voice sounded coldly. Sonorous. The heavenly king's sword on Ye-Bai's waist made a clear sword sound, and he jumped for joy. Dressed in white, he walked up to Ye-Bai. He, who is also a young man, raised his head and said coldly. It's been decades and you still look like this. Come out and try my sword. What a bad temper. What an arrogant second brother. The moment Wuhan appeared, the entire space seemed to be slightly distorted. A vague figure appeared silently on Ye-Bai's right side, with a gentle voice and spoke slowly. Last time I asked you, you didn't answer. He asked in the gentlest tone. So, do you have nightmares? Nightmare. No trace on the left, nightmare on the right. Ye-Bai's sense of security has never been so overwhelming. although, these are just the shadows of the two most powerful men left here. But, with the three powerful men joining forces, there is nothing to be afraid of. Yabai is very confident. Together with Wuhan and Mensi, the three of us can kill the most powerful demon. The abyss kills the trio. Yabai couldn't help but sigh. At this time, it would be great if there were more than one third brother. The traceless figure glanced back and shouted impatiently. Should we drive the wooden stake? Yabai. Second brother, there is no need to be so irritable. Third brother is actually, quite strong. Yabai never expected that the second brother would directly call the third brother a wooden pile. Yabayui commented, very punishing. The white clouds fell, and a Taoist man walked slowly and leisurely. The three most powerful men are all phantoms. But Xiaoao's shadow looks particularly solid. When Xiaoao came to Yabai's side, he looked beyond Yabai and looked at the empty space ahead. Xiaoao shook his head. More boring than the human world. Hiss. For a moment, Yabai couldn't tell whether the third brother was praising or scolding. In short, now that everyone is here, you can help each other open the table. The advantage is mine. The Eye of Insight, which only had 30% power, finally started to stand up. Yabai also became excited. Facing the shadows left by the three most powerful men, the powerful men on the opposite side were not even weak in momentum. Shura, you can choose for yourself. They are very strong, but they can't force you. You can choose for yourself. The strong man who had been hiding behind the scenes did not give up trying to persuade Shura to leave. Leave the Eternal Tower, leave this world, you don't have to bear the fate of death for the most powerful, and you don't have to face the most powerful demon. I can guarantee that when you come to the upper world, you will be free and stronger, and you can get everything you want. The most important thing is, you can live. Shura, you have to settle this account yourself. After saying that, the being snorted coldly and said disdainfully. Do you think they are very strong and you envy them? In our opinion, everyone is destined to die. No matter how strong he is, it is just a vain dream. One day, dust will return to dust, dust will return to dust. The three strongest men didn't feel offended at all by the other party's words. The second brother drew his sword. Offend. Dead people never offend. The nightmare was still there, not knowing what she was thinking. As for Xiaoao, Xiaoao felt that the other party was just telling the truth and there was no offense. But Yabai felt very offended. It's really a pity that I came in a hurry this time. Yabai said sincerely. I have a friend named Huo who has a rich vocabulary. I will introduce you to him next time. Regarding bad mouth, it would be more appropriate to let Huo Tianyi come in. In front of his eldest brother, second brother, and third brother, it was not convenient for Yabai to use words with a high maternal content. Be civilized. Huo Tianyi does not have the burden of being an idol. Xiao Huo is a very capable person. Give him a keyboard and he will really dare to complain. After spraying, you have to punch the opponent twice, even if you beat him to death. Let's talk about things I'm better at. Yabai took out a calculator and calculated carefully. My consulting fee is relatively expensive, 5,000 God of War merits per second. You have wasted my 6 minutes and 20 seconds and 1.9 million God of War merits. In addition to the few words you just scolded several people, one word will compensate 10,000 God of War merits. You scolded 4 people, 32 words, 1.28 million God of War merit, a total of 5 million God of War merit. I'll give you a 12% discount, 44 million, by card or cash. With that said, Yabai took out a POS machine. He took note of this account. The mysterious existence of void space. If you talk like this, there will be nothing to talk about. Shura, you will regret today's decision. See you on the 60th floor. I hope you have figured it out by then. The 90th floor is your last chance. Remember, no powerful person can leave this world alive. This space begins to shrink. Before Yabai finished speaking, he was forcibly expelled from this space and returned to the Eternal Core City. Have you eaten? The second Shadow Master was teaching the other shadows how to behave. The other shadows were all confused. Only the self-destructive guy was taking notes seriously and nodding from time to time. She felt that what the second master said was very reasonable. No one has answered yet. Familiar faces appeared in front of him, looking at him quietly with different expressions. The second master of the movie thinks that the young man who blew himself up has a promising future. Shadow 1 is doing embroidery, Shadow 3 is picking teeth. Eldest brother, second brother, third brother, Juyu, Huo Tianwang, Lan Bangxian. Huo Tianyi yawned with a look of indifference on his face. They're all here. It seems that as long as these people are here, they can clear away all the haze in the world and support him to go on, no matter what he has to face ahead. Liu Ming stood next to Mr. Lan, looking curiously at the people around him. He didn't know why there were so many people. Ye Bai tightened his cloak tightly, and the fatigue and worry in his brows and eyes were swept away. Other moviegoers felt that the young man who blew himself up was seriously ill. Xuemeng stood up first and shouted in the direction of the wolf lair at the top of his lungs. Wait for Shura to make a decision. Zhao Qian stood aside and held up a Sun Li sign. The sudden excitement hit everyone's waist. Ye Bai showed a relaxed smile. Everyone is waiting. Mr. Lan has a smile on his face and is amiable. Shura said he would treat everyone to dinner. Wait for him to come back. Shura will pay for tonight's consumption at Wolf's Nest. Ye Bai, who had just appeared, looked at the group of people in front of him in surprise. Shura has returned to the Eternal Core City that is loyal to the most powerful. Shadow 4 is holding the account book, and Shadow 5 is holding the golden abacus, calculating Shadow's recent expenses. Although some people did not come, they seemed to have come. Obviously, Sun Li knew that he was unlucky, so such occasions would not occur. On the streets of Eternal Core City. In the corner, a group of shadows gathered together. Don't forget the money you owe me. Xuemeng grimaced as if his money had been robbed. Most of the people and shadows who know and interact with Shura are here. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 417. Everyone rushed to the wolf's nest. Ye Baishu stayed in place. He just wanted to ask Xuemeng one thing. Then shall I leave? Is there any justice left? Ye Bai gave up the chance to leave, but when he came back, he was ripped off. This most powerful seed is inappropriate. In fact, after leaving the void space, Ye Bai couldn't help but feel a little scared when he recalled his previous encounters. The person behind the light gate claims to have created the Eternal Tower and is a powerful man from the upper world. His words seem ordinary. In fact, there is a hidden secret. Every word is trying to induce Ye Bai to move forward as much as possible, and to induce Shura to make a choice. The reason why Ye Bai can resist the other party's inducement is: on the one hand, Ye Bai is strong-willed and has a great obsession with his property. It is absolutely impossible for him to abandon his sheepfold. Just like a ship in a storm, there is a ballast stone that allows the ship to withstand the storm. On the other hand, Ye Bai did not hesitate to use his backup materials to forcefully provide energy for the Eye of Insight. This operation makes the other party's bewitchment invalid. After Wuhan, Nightmare, and Xiao Ao arrived, the words of the mysterious strong man no longer had any charm. This is why, after the shadow of the most powerful person arrived, the other party left quickly and did not continue to entangle with Ye Bai. Originally, according to the other party's plan, after consuming all the energy of the Eye of Insight, there would be a chance for Shura to become obsessed with ghosts. However, The ending in front of him was not unacceptable to the mysterious strong man. He had no intention of successfully taking away Shura. 60th floor, 90th floor. There are 2 more opportunities for dialogue. Wait until Shura truly realizes what is the fate of the strongest and what is the inevitable end. At that time, maybe Shura will leave voluntarily without his own persuasion. Xuemeng pulled Shura and greeted. Come on, we have a treat tonight. Don't you like to go to the wolf den the most when someone is treating you? Yeah, bye. He was still recalling the previous conversation, and the game hidden in the dark was frightening. Okay. Yeah, bye, said helplessly while being pulled away. Can't I treat you to a treat? Xuemeng glanced at Shura in surprise. What exactly did Shura experience on the 30th level? It seems that this time, Shura was really scared, and he was actually willing to spend money. After entering the wolf den, Xuemeng approached Mr. Lan and whispered. Lao Lan, this Shura may be fake. Shura who is willing to spend money to pay for it? Absolutely fake. Lan Lao also felt that there must be something fishy about this matter. The 2 of them looked at the wolf's nest bar at the same time. Shura is talking to Diamond. Just listen to Shura whisper. Today I am treating a guest, and it must be treated to the highest standards. I have wine at home. I brought it from the wolf's lair before, it was brewed by the forbidden prince of the noble blood clan himself. Diamond nodded slowly. It was reasonable for the guests to bring their own wine. Shura continued. As for the food, it needs to be more unique, with mushrooms and fish as the main ingredients. Isn't this a coincidence? There happens to be a mushroom forest and ice field in my exclusive space. It's reasonable to have some inventory, right? Question marks began to appear above Diamond's head. Are you here for a treat or to clear inventory? She finally saw it. Shura is determined not to spend any money on the treat today. Diamond asked tentatively, what about the processing fee? Shura was anxious. Processing fee? What's the processing fee for eating sashimi? It makes sense that none of you here have experienced many battles and know how to make sashimi. Yabai continued to discuss the details with Diamond. Roasted mushrooms. I'll have someone prepare a batch for the oven right now. I also have charcoal at home. Xuemeng. It's confirmed, Shura's purity is too high. Only Shura can do this kind of thing. The wolf's den was extremely lively for a while, and countless fine wines and food were served on the table. Don't look at Shura's arrangements that are outrageous. To a certain extent, these things originally belonged to Shura. Taking them out and sharing them with everyone was regarded as Shura's treat, but it didn't cost any money. Moreover, the output from the mushroom forest and ice field is of extremely high quality. In Wanwu Pavilion, if you want to buy something of the same quality, it will be expensive. You must know that these areas are the rewards Yabai received after clearing the SSSS level. Do you understand the value of SSSS level clearance? Everyone was divided into different small circles, and they ate and drank to Shura without mercy. Mixed in the crowd, Feng Dong sat at Su Qingfeng's table and whispered. I have long heard that Shura is generous with his righteousness and wealth, and when I saw him today, it turned out to be true. He counted on his fingers and said. This oven is made of B-grade ore, and the charcoal is high-quality charcoal. Fish and mushrooms are good for eating. Rough calculation, this table is worth several million gold coins. Feet glanced at Feng Dong and said dully. Eat meat, drink wine, and don't talk. Fit is right. Su Qingfeng nodded. After staying with Xuemeng for a long time, he knew Shura better. Shura's heart is probably bleeding right now, so it's better to talk less. Su Qingfeng changed the topic. By the way, fight, are you really not going to fight for the Nightmare Army? Fit shook his head and rejected Su Qingfeng without explaining the reason. The Nightmare Army is not his destination. Fight has already chosen which legion to join. Fine. Since Feet had an idea, Su Qingfeng didn't give much advice. At this moment, his communicator lit up twice. After reading the above content, Su Qingfeng reluctantly took out a knife and walked to the kitchen. While walking, Su Qingfeng muttered, "Cut the sashimi, did you remember that I am a 9th level god of war? Is there still some heavenly reason for me, the 9th level god of war, to let you use it like this? Soon. Su's sashimi, Shue's raw fish balls, Xiu's fish bone soup, Luo's pickled fish, and other exquisite dishes are constantly being served from the back kitchen." In the wolf's den, guests gathered together. Because of the previous experience, it was too thrilling. If it is like this, with or without a bone rod, it makes no difference. Xuemeng was also drunk at first, shaking his head and looking back and forth in the wolf lair. Suddenly, "Then can I eat your tribute? There has to be something engraved on the tombstone, right?" At this moment, Ying San felt that he really needed a name. "I should be Shura. The Taoist has one last question. It's fierce, I don't want to live like the third brother, and I don't want the third brother to live like this." With a bit of drunkenness, Ye Bai slapped Xuemeng on the shoulder and said drunken words. "Death will always make Ying San happy." Ying San, who was roasting mushrooms, reached out to hold the bone stick, and then let go. Ying 3 looked at Ying 1 and asked seriously, "Make a deal. If the other party really wants to kill Ying San, third brother, is it you?" At this time, Ye Bai, who was slightly drunk, was not aware at all and was still chatting with De Menzi. "What kind?" Ying San nodded, "If so, yes." The second master Ying, holding the fishbone in his mouth, closed his eyes and muttered. Ying I put down the embroidery needle in his hand, thought for a moment, and asked. He was thoughtful and asked. The kind of wine he drank would make even Su Qingfeng drunk, let alone Ye Bai, a mage with over 300 levels. After Ye Bai finished his work, he took 2 swigs of strong wine. "If I die, can I inscribe Ying Yi's tomb on the monument?" After listening to Shura's words, the Taoist thought for a while. The appearance of the Taoist did not disturb anyone. "Meng, it should be Shui Meng. When I was alive, I never became the boss." In this way, no one was alerted, and the Taoist easily passed through the wolf nest and came to Ye Bai's back. "Can't see me, can't see me." Xuemeng stiffened, the alcoholism all over his body disappeared, and he became sober. Even if people like Lan Tiankai, Ying 1, Ying 2, Ying 3, etc. noticed the Taoist, they would pretend not to see him. He saw a Taoist wearing a white cloud Taoist robe walking into the wolf lair calmly. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjio Old Thief. Chapter 418. What kind? After the Taoist spoke, the entire wolf nest fell silent. Everyone looked at Shura, ready to hear Shura's answer. Xuemeng was curious, what was Shura thinking? Ye Bai wants to die. The second most terrible thing in the world is to speak ill of third brother. The first scariest thing is that he said bad things about the third brother and was heard by the third brother. Ye Bai, who suddenly sobered up, gave Xuemeng a murderous look. Slowly turning around, facing the Taoist wearing a white cloud Taoist robe, Ye Bai organized his last words. "That's it? What's that like? Can you only understand it but not express it in words?" Xiaoao thought for a while and spoke again. "Boring." Ye Bai nodded quickly. "Yes again." Halfway through, he suddenly realized that it was wrong. Ye Bai quickly shook his head. "No, no. Saying Xiaoao is boring in front of Xiaoao." At this moment, Ye Bai felt super brave. Xiaoao did not continue to ask, but nodded thoughtfully. "Oh." After thinking about this question, Xiaoao looked at Shura again, frowning slightly. Are you nervous? Not nervous, not nervous at all. Yabai wiped the sweat from his forehead and explained. The deficiency fire has been a bit strong recently, and I sweat easily, but it doesn't bother me. Xiaoyao glanced at Yabai again and said seriously. In the way. After finishing speaking, before Yabai could continue speaking, a wisp of flame flew out from between his eyebrows and floated in front of the Taoist. Endless karmic fire was forcibly peeled off, and Yabai felt light all over, feeling indescribably refreshing, no longer having to bear the constant burning of karmic fire. Xiaoyao has the final say. In the wolf lair, there is only one person who is most suitable to hold endless karmic fire. Xiaoyao looked at Xuemeng. Take it. The flame fell into Xuemeng's palm, and a plume of green smoke came out, giving Xuemeng no chance to refuse. Xuemeng is on fire. After doing all this, Xiaoyao was ready to turn around and leave. He thought for a while, stopped and looked at Yabai again. Xiaoyao felt that he should say something. But he didn't know what to say. After a moment of silence, Xiaoyao nodded to Shura. Good. Yabai. Damn it, third brother praised me. These two words, Yabai will print out and frame them after he goes back. From now on, Cain and Dracula will hold up a plaque when he goes out. Certification from the strongest person Xiaoyao, not bad. After praising Shura, Xiaoyao did not leave immediately. Today, he wanted to wander around a bit more. Xiaoyao walked to Shadow's table. Shadow 1, Shadow 2, and Shadow 3 are all sitting in their original positions. The four figures' eyes were dull, their faces were expressionless, and they were dumbfounded. They didn't get up. It's not that they disrespect the strongest. But, they all feel that they are dead. Only when you truly face the strongest can you feel the pressure from Xiaoyao. These four shadows are each more guilty than the last. At this moment, they missed Master Zhu extremely. Yang Si stood up, stepped forward bravely, bowed and saluted. I've seen the most powerful being at ease. No need to be polite. Xiaoyao ignored the demons and ghosts in the shadow, but looked at a self-destructive guy who was studying his notes. Xiaoyao said seriously. Teacher asked you to practice your sword well. The young man who blew himself up was so absorbed in taking notes in lectures that he didn't notice the changes in the outside world. When she looked up, she saw a Taoist Baiyun standing in front of her. Say to yourself, teacher wants you to practice your sword well. This Taoist is very strange. Zhao Ziyan has never seen him before, and he seems to have seen him somewhere. Zhao Ziyan's eyes were confused and he asked tentatively. Eldest brother. Xiaoyao thought for a while. He is Yingju's apprentice. Zhao Ziyan is also Yingju's apprentice. Yingju only has 2 apprentices. I am bigger. She calls herself senior brother, it makes sense. Xiaoyao nodded. Zhao Ziyan's eyes lit up. He turned out to be the elder brother of Shenlong. I have only heard from teachers before that I have a very strong senior brother, but I have never seen him before. Zhao Ziyan patted her chest and promised. Don't worry, I've been practicing my sword very diligently recently. As he said this, Zhao Ziyan's hands were itchy and he asked eagerly. Elder brother, how about we compare notes? Everyone in the wolf lair. The guy who blew himself up is the real brave man. Yabai and Xuemeng looked at each other. After checking his eyes, this man was hopeless. Obviously, the guy who blew himself up didn't recognize Xiaoyao at all. Otherwise, no matter how brave he is, he wouldn't dare to say let's learn from each other to the most powerful person. Another day. Xiaoyao rejected Zhao Ziyan's proposal for discussion and turned to leave. Zhao Ziyan trotted to catch up. I recently called the teacher but he didn't reply. Is he on a mission again? Elder brother, where are you usually and how can I contact you? The teacher is out. Xiaoyao shook his head and replied. I'm at home, no need to contact me. Listening to the conversation between Zhao Ziyan and Xiaoao, Ye Bai fell into silence again. Have to. This guy doesn't even know that his teacher is Yingju. Zhao Ziyan's sword skills were actually learned from Yingju. No wonder she is already at the top of the shadow list before she reaches 30. Ye Bai also didn't expect that Master Ju would secretly find a swordsman successor. At first, Master Ju's favorite successor was Xuemeng, but Xuemeng was misled by Wuhan and focused on learning swordsmanship. Yingju retreated to the next best thing and chose Zhao Ziyan as his successor, which was reasonable. Zhao Ziyan's talent is probably obtained by using his brain. Zhao Ziyan did not follow his senior brother, but returned to Shadow's table, ready to continue studying his notes. She suddenly found that the eldest sister and the second sister had sat beside her at some point. With a slight smile on his face, Ying asked softly. Xiao Zhao, it's not good that I was the eldest sister before, so I asked you to fight on behalf of the King of War. Not good? What's wrong? Zhao Ziyan is confused. Why is everyone acting weird today? Let me represent Wang Yi in the battle. Aren't you afraid that I will be too ambitious? Let me understand that those who achieve great things can bend and stretch, and be gentle but strong. Zhao Ziyan talked to Death Song privately about this matter. After being enlightened by the Death Song, Zhao Ziyan suddenly became enlightened. Shadow is focusing on cultivating himself. I can't let down my eldest sister and the others for their hard work. There is nothing wrong with what Death Song said. Listening to Zhao Ziyan's God-level understanding, Ying Yi nodded repeatedly. Yes. That's what eldest sister means. Let's talk about your teacher. Does your teacher use a knife? While Shadow 1 and Shadow 2 were chatting with the self-destruction guy, all the other shadows were listening with their ears pricked up. After leaving the shadow table, Xiaoao still did not leave the wolf lair. This time, even Mr. Lan was a little surprised. Xiaoao walked straight towards Zhao Qian. Next to Zhao Qian, a goblin was trembling and slumped under the table. They, the natives from the Eternal Tower, are more afraid of Xiaoao than others. Xiaoao looked at Zhao Qian. All withdrawn. Zhao Qian nodded, understood. Previously, in order to deal with possible changes, Xiaoao had issued orders to prepare for war. Now, since Shura has not left, those who were preparing for the war can naturally withdraw. After saying that, Xiaoao walked out of the wolf den and turned into white clouds. This projection was ready to return to the Eternal Tower. His true body has been staying on the 99th floor and has not left. At this moment, Xiaoao suddenly figured out something. What he wanted to say to Shura was not "it's okay. White clouds go and come back." This time, no one noticed anything strange. A Taoist priest appeared out of thin air in front of Ye Bai. Come again. Ye Bai felt that his heart was not very good. Before Ye Bai could speak, Xiaoao left a word and then disappeared again. Thanks. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 419. Thanks. These two words came out of Xiaoao's mouth. The leaves are white. After Xiaoao left, Ye Bai felt filled with great pride. He wants to do something meaningful. After tidying up his clothes, Ye Bai walked to the bar and said seriously to Diamond. Eat some fries. No problem. Under Diamond's arrangement, the French fries arrived quickly. In fact, Shura really spent a lot of money on the treat tonight. She didn't want the money for the fries. Holding a bag of chips, Ye Bai wandered around the wolf's nest and looked at the situation at each table. Ye Bai arrived at Lao Ian's table first, a group of gray-haired old men whose combined age could be several thousand years old. They were all talents engaged in scientific research on key projects such as the Eternal Tower and the Abyss. Among them, Lao Lan alone is 800 years old. Eating French fries, Ye Bai, who has not yet graduated from high school, not only lowered the average age of the table, but also lowered the average education level. The old men didn't move much about the food on the table. They simply ate some mushrooms and fish and tasted it. Only Wu Ming was eating hazelessly. From time to time, he summoned his friends and fed them some food. The old men gathered together to discuss their respective research projects. Lan Lao saw Ye Bai coming and greeted. "Shura, just in time, I have something to tell you." Mr. Lan took out a stack of research reports and pulled out a brief description. "This is a study on the impact of the brief opening of the Xi'an Abyss, and the situation is not very good." Ye Bai took the brief description and glanced at it with solemn eyes. He did not understand the various data and arguments in the brief description. But Ye Bai understood the conclusion. Due to the detection of breath fluctuations before and after the opening of the Supreme Abyss, it is speculated that a monster escaped from the Supreme Abyss. Lan Lao added. "What is certain is that the strength of the escaped monsters will not exceed level 1000, and the number is unknown." Looking at the first-hand information in his hand, Ye Bai felt a little troubled. Third brother probably knows about this. Since Xiaoao didn't say anything, there are only two situations. In the first case, the problem is not big, so don't panic. In the second case, the problem is huge, so there is no need to panic, as panic is useless. Ye Bai reacted immediately. "So, if I go to the ninth abyss this time, I might encounter monsters that escaped from the mighty abyss." "Right." Lan Lao nodded and did not continue to expand on this topic, but reminded. "We don't know much about the abyss. But one thing is certain, in the past 100 years, the most powerful demon god has never sent any monsters outside." Ye Bai nodded, indicating that he understood. "Although the most powerful demon is in deep sleep and sealed. But he is not a dead thing. In the past 100 years, the human race has grown to be the most powerful generation after generation. In the eyes of the most powerful demon god, it may be a small matter and not worth mentioning. Until the most powerful person of this generation, Xiaoao, appeared. Xiaoao really made the most powerful demon feel threatened. In order to deal with the threat and suppress the human race, the most powerful demon god will of course choose to strike hard. The monsters that escaped from the Supreme Abyss were not so much escaping as they were sent out by the Supreme Demon God, waiting for an opportunity. Ye Bai kept this matter in mind, thinking too much about it was useless. Take it one step at a time. After bidding farewell to Mr. Lan, Ye Bai wandered over to Shadow's table. Shadow 1, Shadow 2, and Shadow 3 surrounded Ye Bai at the same time. "Fourth Master, I have offended you so much before," Yang Yi said with sincerity. "This little girl is not talented. Although she is weak and frail, she is still willing to kill a demon and do everything for Fourth Master." Ye Bai thought for a while and asked tentatively. "I won't embarrass you, look at the most powerful demon." Yang Yi's expression froze. "Excuse me, take my leave. I'm going to run away with the Eternal Tower on my back." Second Master Yang cried and said. "Fourth Master, I was wrong. I will definitely learn to be a good person from Fourth Master." Yang San said dully. "Fourth Master, I really need a name." It was obvious that they were frightened by Xiaoao. "Calm down, easy, easy." Ye Bai comforted the four shadows who were huddled in fear, and repeatedly assured that he was somewhat thin to the third brother and could cover everyone. I have to say that Xiaoao took a casual trip and the effect was remarkable. Shadow's top combat power has full cohesion. Shadow's top combat power and loyalty are full. After appeasing Shadow, Ye Bai arranged for Xuemeng to bring a few more boxes of wine. The humans in the shadows cannot eat or drink, but shadows 1, 2, and 3 are not humans. Drink some wine to calm down. After leaving Shadow's table, Ye Bai slipped to Zhao Qian's table. Unlike other tables, Zhao Qian was the only one at this table. Within the human race, there are not many people who can sit at the same table as Zhao Qian. Zhao Qian stood up and said, "I've met fourth brother." "You're welcome, little brother, sit down." Ye Bai put down half a bag of French fries, looked at Zhao Qian, and said seriously, "I broke through to the 30th floor today and spent 2 sets of eyewash materials for work. Can I be reimbursed?" Zhao Qian said with a helpless smile. "Fourth brother, why don't you take away the Wanwu pavilion?" Ye Bai's eyes lit up. "Are you really sending it to me? Get an anti-fraud app first." The pavilion of all things, Ye Bai thought for a while and gave up this crazy idea. Even if Zhao Qian dares to give it away, Ye Bai doesn't dare to ask for it. 2 materials. Zhao Qian muttered. "Fourth brother, if you have no other expenses, just reimburse these 2 materials, no problem." Ye Bai slapped his thigh, he knew he would have given more points. The person Zhao Qian was looking for could be trusted by Ye Bai. The goblin came to his senses and introduced himself. "Are you a vampire?" Goblin Gujin came up with a plan that he had prepared long ago. "Xiaojin, tell me what you can do and your price. If I work for you, I still need to pay you." Before coming, the pavilion master has already told me some basic information. The goblin was only 1.2 meters tall, had green skin and pointed ears, and looked exactly like the goblins Ye Bai had seen before. "Tell me, if you work for me, how much will you pay me every month?" According to Zhao Qian's previous agreement with Ye Bai, he was responsible for helping Ye Bai find a goblin housekeeper. "I can help you double the output of your exclusive space, and at the same time ensure that your profits increase by 200% on the current basis." Faced with Ye Bai's question, Zhao Qian nodded. Perfect for bargain hunting. Gujin originally thought that this matter would end here and there would be no improvement. After briefly talking about what he could do, Goblin Gujin quoted his price. Since he was hiring a financial manager, Ye Bai's attitude was also very serious. He knows very well that trust is the most important thing when choosing a person to manage money. Xiaoao had just arrived, and the goblin was very frightened at the moment. After talking about reimbursement, Ye Bai discovered that there was a sluggish goblin next to Zhao Qian. After all, this is the person who manages his own money. Hearing these words, Goblin Gujin fell into silence. "What do you call it?" "Goblin Gujin?" A goblin is willing to manage money for Ye Bai for free, which means that what the Goblin Gujin seeks goes beyond money itself. "Gujin, please call me Xiaojin. I found it for you." He had to admit that Shuro was telling the truth. "I am willing to serve you for free until the end of the contract." Ye Bai took a sip of Coke and ate a French fries. Very rarely, Ye Bai gave up the initiative in negotiations to the other party. The free ones are the most expensive. "Who knows?" Shura spoke again. "This is. I reject. As for the price, it is up to Ye Bai himself to negotiate. Online games, only I can see hidden information." Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 420. Wolf Den. Goblin Gujin encountered an almost unsolvable problem. He wanted to work for Shura, but for some reasons, he would rather work for the other party without any money. Shura directly asked him to make a price. "Pay money first, work later." Goblin Gujin knows very well that all part-time jobs or jobs that require advance payment are scams. He just didn't expect that the most powerful seed Shuro would be so strong. The most difficult thing right now is that Gujin really wants to ask Shuro for help. And the price he offered represents his sincerity. Open too low, Shuro didn't buy it. If it is open too high, Gujin will not be able to bear it. After weighing the pros and cons, Gujin gritted his teeth and said, "Lord Shura, the goblin family was once the richest being in the Eternal Core City. Yabai nodded slightly, he knew this. Then what? Gu Jin looked at Zhao Qian, the master of Wanwu Pavilion, with a pleading look. After the goblin family went bankrupt, most of the goblins owed huge debts. In order to repay their debts, they all worked for Zhao Qian. After the Wanwu Pavilion is established, the goblins will naturally become the labor force of the Wanwu Pavilion. The money they earn is not enough in interest. Gu Jin continued. The demon god in the abyss once lent half of the goblin family's wealth when he escaped from the Eternal Temple. I have an IOU here. Zhao Qian nodded and admitted, it is true. Repay salary with IOU. A white wolf with empty gloves, right? However, Yabai also understood. The goblin has become a poor man, with no money to squeeze out. Yabai muttered. Ninth demon god, how much did you borrow? Gu Jin took out an IOU. 198 pieces of SS level equipment, 6,494 pieces of S level equipment, 603.1 billion eternal gold coins. His. I have to say that the things borrowed by the ninth demon god are particularly amazing. In terms of 603.1 billion eternal gold coins alone, the equivalent of the god of war's merits is 603,100. Don't forget, this money was owed 100 years ago. Over the years, the interest has been compounded and interest has been earned, which has already exceeded 1 trillion. In Gu Jin's hands, this IOU was just a piece of waste paper. He didn't have the courage to ask the ninth demon god for an account. But not only did he have the courage to give the IOU to Shura to settle the debt, he was also very brave. Make a deal. Yabai accepted the IOU and held Gu Jin's hand. Congratulations on joining the sheepfold. Gu Jin? After signing the contract, Yabai took Gu Jin back to his exclusive space. Exclusive space. On Gu Jin's first day at work, as his boss Yabai was very generous and took Gu Jin to the money tree first. Gu Jin cried when he saw the money tree. This is an inherited treasure of the goblin family. Obviously, the biggest money tree is in the hands of Zhao Qian. The one given to Yabai is the best quality one in recent years. Shake it and get a lucky draw. Yabai warned. No matter what comes out, I won't charge you any money. Gu Jin is numb. He stepped forward and shook it, and a special eternal gold coin fell down, which was more than 10 times larger than ordinary gold coins. It is no longer an eternal gold coin, it should be called an eternal gold cake. Yabai put the eternal gold cake into his pocket and warned, by the way. From now on, if the ancient gold comes to you, you won't get a penny from it. This is a lucky star. Not like that unlucky guy, the fool master. The welcoming ceremony was over. Yabai brought Gu Jin to Werewolf Jack and told him to hand over the accounts. After doing all this, Yabai went to find Dazu. Where is the Wasteland Elf envoy? Yabai only saw the big white wolf king, not the prisoners. Did Cain seal it into the radio? Seeing the demon lord return, Dracula quickly put down the duck neck in his hand, came forward and explained a few words in a low voice. This is outrageous. Yabai was angry, is there any justice left? After the Wasteland Elf envoy was captured and returned to his exclusive space, Dracula and others haven't had time to interrogate him. The Fool Master passed by and asked the person to leave on the pretext of I just need a maid. Yabai immediately went to find Master Fool to settle the score. Do you know how much it cost to catch her? As a demon mentor who is well versed in Shura's character, Master Fool used 3 sentences to make Yabai give up asking for the Wasteland Elf envoy. The Sunbow and Moon Arrow are SS level equipment, the kind that can be upgraded to SSS level. It doesn't cost money to advance. The equipment is given to you. Yabai immediately patted his chest and said, if you like a Wasteland Elf envoy, take it away if you like it. If it's not enough, I'll catch a few more with SS level equipment another day. Master Fool rolled his eyes and ignored Shura's last words. Boss, the accounts have been settled. Gujin handed a tablet to Yebai. In less than 5 minutes, he had clearly sorted out the accounts of the exclusive space for the past month. Input, output, loss, balance. Well organized and every penny is correct. Yebai exclaimed that he had found a treasure. The goblin financial manager Zhao Qian found for him, among other things, has absolutely excellent professional skills. By the way, how did you go bankrupt 100 years ago? While checking the accounts, Yebai suddenly asked. With the professionalism displayed by Gujin, if all goblins were at this level. Even if he loses to Zhao Qian in the business world, it should not be so miserable. Many people are interested in this topic. That's right, brother. In order to express goodwill, we also hired a strong human race. Does he have a lot of powerful equipment in his hands? Yebai fell into silence, not knowing what to say for a moment. Gujin looked at Yebai with confusion on his face, confused. We wanted to bet long and invest in Terran. Is he the favored one of the gods, especially loved by the gods? They invested in this strong man just for this favor. Gujin shook his head, spread out his little hands, and said helplessly. Yebai suddenly understood that Zhao Qian and Sun Li were a perfect match for each other. Etc. If anyone has business competition with Zhao Qian will just ask Sun Li to go over and resolve it. When talking about this topic, Gujin's eyes turned red. Yebai looked strange, as if he had thought of something, and asked tentatively. Right. Investing in Sun Li, goblin, failed miserably. That shouldn't be the case. What's the problem? I don't know either. Master Fool also had a look of curiosity on his face. He sat on a small bench, cracked melon seeds and waited patiently for what was to follow. Any questions? The strong man you hired has a good relationship with Nightmare and others. Sighing, Yebai patted Gujin's head. Yebai continued to ask, one person and one goblin, one question and one answer. It's a good investment, don't invest next time. With a hint of crying in his voice, Gujin talked about the sad events from 100 years ago. If you don't go bankrupt, who will go bankrupt? Yebai was even more surprised. If he invested in the human race, why did the goblins fail miserably? We don't know either. Right. Kane also wandered nearby, with a cold look on his face and his ears pricked up. Gujin nodded, yes. Dracula brought a small stool, melon seeds, and mineral water. Is his eternal ID called good luck? Yebai spoke with a hint of bitterness. The powerful human being invested by the goblin family is Sun Li.